Hey guys, welcome back to That Baldwin Life. I'm Nate.
I'm Nancy. Today we're going to do a walkthrough tour of our 1987 Westfalia.
Let's start on the outside. For the most part, it's pretty stock looking outside. It's a basic white Westy that you see everywhere else. We've done the lower black cladding that you've seen everywhere. Ours is a little bit different. We didn't use the truck bed liner a lot of people use. We weren't that committed to it really, so we used that kind of spray on rubberized plasti dip as kind of an experiment to see if we really liked it. And it's been 2 years almost, and it's held up really well. At some point we'll take that off and we'll put on some actual truck bed liner so it's more permanent. It is chipping off in a few places, but overall for $12 it cost me, whatever, it was pretty good. The other big change I think we have is we've done a tent upgrade. You saw the video we did over the winter. We repainted the pop top and did the 3-window tent. We haven't got a chance to use it in the summer to have the windows open, the air flowing through, but we're super excited this summer to check that out. On the outside, we also have our awning. We picked this up on Craigslist shortly after we bought the van. We really wanted a Fiamma, but they're like $800 or $1,000. It was not really something we could afford. The ARB awning, a lot of people love. It's nice. We wanted something more of a hard case that we could open and close a little bit easier. We found this is an old Carefree Colorado awning. I don't think they make it anymore, but a guy in Portland had it on his Westy. He bought a larger 10-foot Fiamma when selling this. We picked this up for like $400, which was a bargain. Grabbed the Go Westy brackets, and we use it all the time. You'll see in our videos, we use it in the rain, in the snow. It's great for shade in the sun. We can have our propane fire pit underneath of it. It is just like having an outdoor room. We absolutely love it. Out back, we've got the Rocky Mountain Westy spare tire carrier. We've upgraded to 215 65/16 tires, and people say they fit, but we tried it to get it in the stock clamshell. No luck. So we got the rear tire carrier. It keeps the full-size spare in the back. We have some friends joining if you want to pan over, Nance, and see some visitors here.
Hey guys!
The ladder is kind of modeled off some I've seen on the internet before, but they're very, very expensive, and I thought I could build something that fits my needs a little bit better. We kind of built it to fit this 2.5-gallon Rotopax, so it just kind of fits on there just perfect. For the rear bumper, we also kind of wanted something to hold our bike rack in the back, but I didn't want to pay the money for the Go Westy bumper or others. So I built this rear bumper to really mimic the factory bumper. From 10 feet away, it looks just like it. We used the factory bumper end caps, but I integrated a 2-inch receiver hitch into it. We don't tow anything. There's no wiring harness for it. It's just to hold our bike rack. For a propane tank, our stock one was leaking a little bit. The shutoff valve, if you had it all the way open, it wouldn't leak, but we just didn't like that very much. We get it repaired, I think, or buy a new one, but we don't use that many indoor appliances for it. We cook out in the summer outside on a camp stove a lot. So we moved our propane tank to those 1-pound canisters. We didn't like that we had to throw those away every time, so we bought I'll link in the description, I can't remember the name brand, but it's a refillable propane canister, and they're 1 pound, and so I replumbed all of this, so those screw right on. We keep 2, one on here, one in the van at all times. It also then fits our outside camp stove, so we always have just one thing to carry with us. In the back, we run Go Westy 1.5-inch lift springs with a Bilstein 6100 remote reservoir shock. We kind of wanted the Foxes, but they're super expensive. This is a great option. It's much lower cost. I think they're $150 a piece or so. So they're not cheap, but nowhere near what the Foxes cost. For front suspension, we also have kind of a hybrid setup. We have some Moog front springs. They gave us about 3/4 of an inch of lift. They were probably $60 for the pair, for they're super cheap. They ride really nice. They're much stiffer than the factory springs, but not as stiff as some of the aftermarket springs we've seen. For shocks, we run the Rancho 9000 adjustables. There's a few threads on the Samba kind of referencing that shock option. The one thing with both shocks, with the rear and the front, you have to kind of make your own bushings a bit because they don't fit the bolts on the Vanagon, but it's really not that hard. We really don't adjust them all that much, but it is nice if we're going to go down a gravel road for a while. We'll put these things on 3 or 4 and make it pretty soft. And if we're going to back on the highway for some long driving, bump it back up to 6 or 7 to keep that body roll to a minimum. We've also redid all the factory suspension bushings up front. Our lower control arms bushings were pretty rotten when we got the van, pretty soft. So when we replaced the springs and shocks, we did a full PowerFlex bushing kit on the radius arms, on the control arms, the steering rack. Everything's brand new up front. It really helped tighten the suspension up quite a bit. The wheels and tires were one of the first upgrades we made to the van when we picked it up. We went with a 16-inch wheel for better tire selection, especially in a higher load rating. These wheels we got from Van Cafe. They're the Carrot wheels. We love the way they look. We added a really cool Volkswagen kind of sticker to make the center caps look OEM. We picked up 5, so we have one for a full-size spare. For tires, we went with the Nokian Rotiva ATs. We picked these up from Van Cafe as well. They mounted the whole thing and shipped them to us. This is a load-rated tire. It's a 102. Very important. Don't put 92 load-rated tires on your Vanagon. It's just not safe. This is also a snow-rated tire, and it does okay in the mud and the dirt. They're not the most aggressive, and we may try something a bit more aggressive next time, but so far they're super quiet. They do great off-road. We're pretty happy with them. For brakes, we upgraded to the small car kit. It uses an Audi caliper. For us, it's such a big upgrade of the stock system. Now granted, our stock system really sucked when we bought it. I think both calipers were slightly seized up and wouldn't clamp all the way. But I mean, if you're going to replace something, we had to replace our calipers anyway. Our rotors were pretty shot. We decided just to upgrade to something a lot better with more modern parts. I think they're Passat rotors. They're bigger and vented. For us, it's been a huge upgrade. It came with stainless steel brake lines up front. And then also about a year later, we upgraded the brake booster to the BMW unit. Again, it's a larger, I think it's a 10-inch booster versus a 9. It doesn't really give any more stopping power, but it does make the pedal easier to push to really have a better full braking system. You know, a bigger master cylinder might help as well, but this system is such an upgrade of the stock. I highly recommend it. In the back, we still have the stock drums, but we also upgraded those to stainless steel brake lines. On our list is the Burley big brake kit, the Burley rear disc brake kit. So if you're watching this, you know, you want to give us a call, we'll try it out for you. But again, it's just outside of our budget right now. So the rear drums are actually pretty good. The thing we really just don't like about them is they collect gravel and sand and mud when you go through stuff, and they kind of whistle and grind, but that's drum brakes for you. Okay, you're probably wondering what's been powering our amazing adventure mobile this whole time. Well, we have a water boxer motor. I know Subarus are super popular, and we know lots of people that have them. They're great motors. We are kind of Volkswagen-powered Volkswagen people. We had it rebuilt by Rocky Jennings out in Walla Walla. The stock motor had 230 or 40,000 miles on it. I think the heads had been redone at some point, but you know, it was underpowered, and we had kind of a rear main leak. We wouldn't take care of all that stuff. So the motor has been fantastic. It was rebuilt to a 2.2 liter, so a little bit bigger than the stock 2.1. But then Rocky does a lot of kind of, you know, more race stuff to it. It's got a different cam in it. He port and polishes the heads. The intake's matched. So a lot of little stuff that not a lot of builders would do. And you know, it's not the most powerful motor, but the way we travel and the speeds we go, it's absolutely fantastic. So during the motor rebuild, we decided to add an oil cooling system as well. There's some out on the market, and they're great systems. They're very well priced, what I found out after building my own, for what you get. I just didn't like particularly the way the hose is routed over the motor, and the oil cooler was on the passenger side. I wanted it tucked up in here on the driver's side. So I kind of sourced some parts I thought would do the trick for it. We picked up all AN hoses and fittings, a little thermostatic sandwich adapter to go between the oil cooler and the block, and that routes all of our hot oil up to the cooler, which is in the pillar over here. And on top of that, we have a small fan. It's actually the old engine fan off my Buell Ulysses that I replaced because I thought it was bad, but ended up being the relay was bad. So I had this extra fan that's a nice small fan, and we put that in on a switch. We can then just flick that switch before the long climb, get some extra airflow onto that oil cooler, and keep those temperatures at 220 degrees the entire time of the climb. For an exhaust, when we had the motor rebuilt, we decided to go with the Rocky Mountain Westy stainless steel exhaust. Our factory exhaust was in pretty bad shape. Our kind of connector elbow was all pitted up and it was constantly leaking. This exhaust was expensive and it's been okay. I really can't say if I can recommend it or not. I think it does give some performance. It does sound great at 4,500 RPM screaming up a hill, but it's a little bit loud. We've had 2 failed joints so far, and actually the welds have failed. One we sent back and they fixed it, but I had to pay for shipping there. They shipped it back. The second one, when it failed, I had a guy at work just TIG weld it up, and I'm hoping there's no more failed joints. The clamps they sent us leaked a little bit. I sourced some different clamps I thought worked better in some applications. And then of course the small muffler they send you is just, I think, obnoxiously loud. So we went with the next size larger Flowmaster, same series. It's, you know, it looks the same, but it's just about, I think they send you a 12-inch. This is 18-inch long. We had to fab up some brackets for it, but it's a lot quieter. It's not like stock quiet by any means, but it's definitely bearable. You really can't hear it while you're driving, but cruising down some Forest Service roads, people will know you're coming for sure. For our house battery system, we have 2 Duracell AGMs under the back seat for about a total of about 150 amp hours. And it seems to be good for our needs. We run the ARB fridge off of it, of course our interior lights, the lights in our awning, charging our devices. So we don't have a huge demand on it by any means. We don't have any solar. We really don't stay in one spot long enough for solar generally. We've ran this thing 4 days, I think, at Descend on our ARB, and we had no problems with it running down. Eventually these will run out. We may go with lithium at that point, but they're still super expensive. They would weigh less, they take up a bit less space, but that's not a big deal to us at this point. Also under the rear bench, we've got our S-bar heater. This is something we put in a year or so ago, and we don't know how we live without it. We had a Mr. Buddy heater, which was great. I mean, it's nice. Run it for a couple, maybe an hour or 2 before you go to bed, and it stays warm, but it has so much condensation. We don't feel safe running that at night. We really wanted to get something. I know the Chinese diesel heaters are super popular. We didn't really want a separate tank for that. Even though I don't think it's that big of a hassle, it's just something we'd rather not do. The S-bar gas heaters are pretty expensive, $1,200 or more. What we found was that John Deere had a Gator tractor thing, you know, side by side, that they offered an S-bar gasoline heater for as an OEM option years ago. There were some people on eBay selling brand new in-box Gator heaters for about $450. And so we jumped on that. We saw one come up for sale, shipped it to us brand new in the box. Has some specific Gator parts, but everything you need to really hook it up for us. And it's really changed our camping game at all. We love camping in the winter now and in the snow. There's less people out. You jump in, crank that heater up to whatever you want it to be. It runs all night long, keeps the van nice and warm. It's one of the best upgrades we've done so far.
On the inside, we have an upper bunk, which we sleep in during the summer because it's a little bit cooler. And kind of excited about using the 3-window tent this year to have a nice breeze while we're up here sleeping. But most of the time we sleep down here in the bottom bed, which opens up pretty easy. Nice. Pull this and pull it out. And then you have a nice sized bed. And then we also have a foam mattress pad that goes over it the previous owner made. And we just put a sheet on that and it's nice and comfortable. In this upper cabinet we like to keep our clothes. We also at night prop our Kindle or iPad in here when we're laying in bed at night at this area, and we can watch movies and stuff that we've downloaded. Over here in this cabinet we keep our pillows, light blankets, bulky items, anything we don't want to look at, we just shut the door. Right here we have our water tank, which has a little bit of storage space for other random things. And over here we have a cabinet that we keep games, sometimes canned foods during the summer, anything out of the way, pretty much. Next we have our stove. Opens up, 2-burner stove. We have a little tiny sink here for washing dishes. Easy to clean, easy to put away. Down here we just have a little cabinet. We put toilet paper and random things in. This cabinet used to be where the fridge is. We now use it for all our dishes and food items. Up here we have a drawer full of medicines and silverware, lighters, random things like that. And down here we have our toiletries, spices, and then we also have our spare bottle of wine, because you never know. And then also first aid kit, bug spray, all that kind of fun stuff that you definitely need when you're in. We have a thing for cleaning up when we're done.
There you go. That's our van walkthrough. Hope you guys learned something today. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below, and I guess we'll try and address it. But we'll see you guys next time.
Bye guys.
See ya.